What is up, everybody? The college football playoff ranks are in, and we're going to go over it rank by rank, kind of like they did in the playoff video on ESPN last night. So let's just get right into it. We have ourselves Kansas, Tulane, Oklahoma State, Utah, Kansas State. The biggest surprise is that Oklahoma State is still on this list even after their big loss. And then Kansas also is still on this list after their big loss against unranked opponents. Going down nine spots, you got to really think like what other teams could be in place of Kansas. I think Liberty, since they're still undefeated, they could be ranked. I think Liberty should be ranked over Tulane because Tulane has been performing really, really pish posh. I know a lot of people on YouTube are talking about, there should be a different group of 5 team than Tulane, like SMU or other teams like that. And I'm like, but they lost games. The committee even said they reward teams for winning, not losing. Okay, so Tulane's 9-1, and they're going to continue being there. Maybe Liberty could be in front of Tulane, maybe get that New Year's Six Bowl for representing CUSA. On to the next, we have North Carolina, Notre Dame, Tennessee, Arizona, and Iowa. The biggest takeaways here is that Arizona's not moving up like a lot, significantly. They're almost the best -3 team. And then Iowa, 22-0 against Rutgers. They get rewarded, moving up 6 whole spots. Their offense looked better than ever, but it still wasn't that great. But it's really cool to see them move up. The committee's giving them some love, even though historically they never really give them love because they just perform like Iowa. And they should really take that into account. Like, Iowa's Iowa. They play how they play, and they still win games. You get rewarded for winning games. And as you can see it here. One of my biggest takeaways here is Oregon State is still not in the top 10. And you'll see why, because there's going to be a team in there that is going to be ahead of an X1 team. And I'm very surprised that they did that because, as they said, they reward teams for winning, not losing. So they should pretty much stick to that ladder of like X0s, X1s, X2s. And then, when it comes to group of 5 teams, you have to take into account their strength of schedule because they're group of 5 teams. But the BCS Bowl never really took account of that. The Boise State was ranked with Cincinnati. There was TCU also ranked at the same time in the early 2010s. I'm like, come on, BCS rankings, we give them all crap, but they did give some respect to those group of 5 teams. Ole Miss moving down 4 spots is very notable. They didn't really move them down that far, but I'm surprised they moved down past Penn State because Ole Miss, I feel like, is better than Penn State. Just overall, they're a better team. And then Oregon State's got a good weekend coming up. If they win, they're going to get bounced into the top like 10, maybe even like 7 or 6, depending on how their teams do. They'll probably just switch spots at Texas if Texas were to lose. Now we got the top 7 through 10. Louisville, welcome to the top 10 club. And this is where that team I was telling you, Missouri, after that tremendous win against Tennessee, they moved up 5 whole ranks back into the top 10 ahead of the X1 Louisville. In this case, I think they're taking strength of record here, where Missouri has played a lot of top-tier opponents. Their only 2 losses are 2 ranked teams. Louisville's loss is not that good. Like, it's a very bad loss. But they're not going to move ahead against Alabama or Texas because Texas wins that head-to-head at Alabama. Alabama's destroying teams right now. So I wonder what they're going to do with the Texas-Alabama. Like, imagine if Alabama wins the SEC and Texas wins the Big 12. Which team are they going to pick? Are they going to pick the head-to-head, or are they going to pick Alabama because they beat Georgia in the SEC championship game? Who knows? Because right now the Big 12 is sitting out of the playoff, and I wonder which team they're going to put in there if Georgia were to lose to Alabama. If they're going to honor that head-to-head like they did with Cincinnati and Notre Dame, where Notre Dame had 1 loss to Cincinnati, and they were sitting at 5, and Cincinnati was at 4, even though Cincinnati's current schedule was real significantly weaker than Notre Dame. They just won that head-to-head. Or are they going to bounce Alabama ahead of Texas in that case? But who knows? It's all speculation. We'll get to see. Now we have the top 6 teams. My biggest surprise is that they changed anything at all, because I know Georgia did have some dominating wins against ranked teams, but as you see, the top 8 hasn't really moved. It's not really changed. There isn't much difference. Georgia's, Ohio State's records are fairly similar now, but Georgia definitely has been more dominant. Ohio State just keeps winning. Unlike to each their own. If you look at the FBI rankings, Ohio State's ahead of that. They have a better strength of schedule. Ohio State has been performing significantly better when it comes to analytics than Georgia, but I'm surprised they moved them at all. I'm surprised they just didn't keep it all the same. I said right before the rankings, I said the top 8 aren't changing, like all the way up to Alabama, and then I was correct when I said that out loud when I was watching these videos. But I'm surprised. There's another takeaway here is I'm surprised that Washington didn't move past Florida State because, yeah, Florida State has beat ranked teams, but look at those ranked teams' records now. They're like X3. Most of them aren't even ranked anymore, like Duke, Miami, a bunch of teams. They had a close one against. I know the committee said that Miami, Florida State's a very tough game, blah, 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 blah. But, like, you were undefeated Florida State. You were the clear favorites of that game, and you barely beat them. I feel like if Miami's quarterback didn't get injured on that last play there could have been a situation where Miami could have took the game into overtime. It was just a whole bag of worms over there. And then Washington, yeah, their defense has been giving up tons of points, but if you looked at that showing, even the committee mentioned it against Utah. They shut Utah down in that second half, and that shows you how good Washington can be. And I know I have a commenter that likes to give me crap because I always have Washington losing, but Washington is due for a loss here. Not all of these teams are going to be undefeated by the end of the year. One of these teams are going to two of these teams are definitely going to lose before that. We're looking at the Ohio State, Michigan. One of those are guaranteed losses, and then Washington is probably going to lose one game in the regular season, or they lose to Oregon in the championship game. So I'm putting Oregon State over Washington in the game this week, just because Washington, I think, could afford to lose a game, especially if they beat Oregon, who has a better FBI ranking than Washington. But I hope that we continue this trend of maybe some more upsets, because right now 5 undefeated teams, there's not much movement. There hasn't been much movement at all over the year. I remember a couple years ago where the ranks the number 1 team in the AP poll lost like 4 weeks in a row, and it was crazy. It was madness when it came to the to those rankings and like who's going to be the best team, who's not. It was very exciting football. Like right now, it's kind of stale. It's kind of been stagnant. And then this year, especially this week, a lot of these like good teams are just playing like bye weeks. Like FSU's playing garbage, Alabama's playing garbage, LSU's playing garbage. There's a bunch of garbage football right now, and I don't know what's going on with the South and playing these teams. I feel like it shouldn't be allowed at all, just because you're at week 11 and you're playing against an FCS school. That's total garbage. Here's the overview of the entire ranks as we put them in one image, and my Iowa team right here is sitting in the top 16. If they keep winning, and then they could probably get to the top 10 if they were to win the Big Ten championship. I know they won't go to the playoffs, but they'll get a really good bowl game if they were to win the Big Ten. Very unlikely, but, a man can dream. That's going to be it for this video. Please like and subscribe if you like this kind of content. Peace.